Welcome back to the Roadsmiths, everybody. And if you're new here, I'm Pam.
And I'm Ken.
And last year we did an installation and a review of the HaloView BT7 system. And as we mentioned in that video, up to then, for 2 years, we had traveled without any kind of observation system camera. But now that we've had it for a year, it's like we can't imagine not having something.
Yeah, it's been really, really good. And so when they sent this to us last year, you can see the original one had buttons here on the side, which is fine. That's for the menuing options. And then it's got a sun shield over here, which is really great to cut down on glare. The challenge is when you drive with that, you wind up with, not being able to get access to the buttons as much as you'd like. So HaloView introduced a new screen, which is a touch screen, which is great. And they reached out to us and said, would you be interested in reviewing it and installing it? And we said, absolutely, would like to do that.
So before we review and test it, let's review some of the similarities and the differences.
First off, which is important, is the price. The original HaloView BT7 non-touch screen is $339 for a single camera. This one that we have is $439. So let's talk about some of the technical differences and similarities. First, the similarities. The new touchscreen uses the same camera that we used in the original BT7 install, so that's great. They don't have to get up on the ladder, reinstall, re-silicone. You do have to hit the pairing button up there, and we'll do that as part of that. They both use a 1080p 30 frames a second low latency camera because it's using the same camera, and the clarity is really, really good. They both have the ability to record to an SD memory card. They both have night vision as well as LEDs to light up an area if you are backing into a dark area at night. So that's really good to have. And they both have since we're using the same camera, they have a microphone on the back that allows you to pick up, noises that might be back there or somebody talking to you if you don't have walkie-talkies or a phone. The challenge there is that the last time we tested that, it was okay. So we're curious to see how this works this time. The differences are pretty key. So this one has a new mounting option, which allows you to either mount it on the dashboard like our original BT7 or to mount it on the rear view mirror, which is good. There's an additional part that's needed, and I'll list the part number for that. This has an auto dimming function, which allows you to, dim the screen as you're driving from daytime to nighttime. You don't have to do that manually. And it does have two power options, which is really good. So the original one had a cigarette adapter. This one has a USB as well. So I think that's going to be helpful to kind of give us some options. So we're going to go unbox it and get it ready for installation. But I just got to ask you a question initially. You want to touch it, don't you? As we said, let's unbox the touchscreen version of this. And first off, we'll open up. Obviously, you've got your user manuals. You need to have that. And this is the screen itself. And I'll show you a couple differences on the screen that we can see. One is it just looks a lot sleeker than the previous one. It appears to be the same size, and I'll show you here in a second. I'll hold that up. And then back here, you can kind of see where the two speakers are back there. And one thing I noticed right away is a little bit different mounting system. So we're going to have to check that out. So this is the previous version. And of course, I've got the antennas up on it, and I've got the sun shield up on it. And so you can kind of see the screen is the exact same size, but this definitely looks a lot sleeker. And be curious about that touch piece. So we'll get the antennas mounted on here, and we will see about, I don't know that we're going to be able to put the sunscreen on there, which may not be a problem. Maybe the screen is brighter than this particular screen, and if that's the case, then the sunscreen really won't be required, but I'll be curious. So let's look at the rest of this. So you've got the camera, which again, we've already had that mounted from the previous version of that. And this is the new mounting system. So quite a bit smaller, and it actually looks like it's got a suction cup mount where the previous one had, and I never did take the 3M sticky paper off. We actually keep this up in the top of the dashboard area. There's a kind of a cutout in the Ford F350, and this looks a lot more sleek. And so this will go on here like this, and then So we'll go like that, and I'm sure this may not be adjusted quite right, but the fact that it has a suction cup mount is kind of cool. Now, what I'll be curious about is, will this sit down in that same spot? And I'll show that to you here in a little bit, as this particular one, because the base on this, like I said, it's got the 3M. We never took it off, but it's a wider base, and so it's able to stay upright in that mounting, in that area on the dashboard. This may not, so we'll just have to see how that goes. So that's that. Well, actually, this looks like another mounting. So this one is another mounting option that actually does have the sticky on the back, and so I like that. That gives you, some options there as well. But I'll be curious about the suction cup, because I don't like to put some of the sticky stuff on the dashboard, because you never know when it's time for it to come out how that actually, how that actually acts. So we've got some, looks like some. Well, this is your, I thought that was a cable, but this is actually what you use to mount the camera. And so you've got a template, and then you've got a waterproofing thing. So like I said, the camera's already been mounted, so we don't have to do that, the previous camera, so we don't have to worry about that. And you've got some some wire nuts. Here is your cigarette lighter adapter from a power perspective. And then here is your USB. And I think this is going to really work pretty well, because we can we've got plenty of USB capability in the truck, and so I think this is going to be advantageous for us to do that. Now, you have some other things in here that are for mounting the camera and connecting to the camera system on the RV. Our RV actually has a switch on the main panel to power the 12 volts back to the camera, and that's actually pretty cool. We talked about that in the last video, about how you don't have to run with your running lights on and worry about getting that wired that way from your truck, and having that mounted or having that switch on the panel really is very helpful. That's, of course, if you remember to turn it on as you leave the campground. And a couple other, looks like a couple other power adapters as well. So that's pretty much it. We're going to get the mount put on here, and then we'll get it installed onto the truck, and then get it paired with the other camera, and we'll start going through the menuing system. Okay, I got it out of the box, and I went ahead and put it on both of the mounting options to see that it would stand straight up and the weight wouldn't make it tip over. And, quite frankly, both are good. I think the one that is the sticky actually just feels a little beefier, this one, versus the one that is just the suction cup. And so I think for our purposes, we're going to go with the little beefier one in that same spot with the other BT7 went. What I do like about it initially is that this touchscreen sits up higher than the original BT7, and that's really good for us, because where we put it in our truck, it sits down in a low tray, and it was just really kind of too low. You can see, really could see the whole screen, but it was kind of tight. This is going to sit up a lot higher, so I think it's going to give better visibility to it. So a couple things on here. You've got on one side, you've got your power button. I don't know if you can see that or not, if it's in focus. You've got your power button, you've got your USB-C, and then you've got your car, cigarette lighter adapter plug that goes into that. And on the other side, you've got your pairing button. If I'm getting it to the right side, you've got your light sensor, which is in the middle, and then you've got your slot for your SD memory card. So very well laid out, and again, like the fact that it sits up higher than the previous one did. So we're going to put this out in the truck, get it installed on top of the dashboard, and then we're going to go try and pair this and get it all set up and run through the menuing system. All right, Pam's going to help us here, and she's going to climb up on the ladder and pair. I know, but for this, you wouldn't be able to reach over. So the pairing button is on the bottom. So let's go in the truck. I don't know. It depends on how stable you are. So let's go in the truck and then start the pairing process. Okay, Pam is going to try and do the pairing.
I'm pressing it.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the pairing mode and start the pairing process. Oh, there we go. We've got it paired already, so that was awesome. So when you pair that, you have to hold that button. It doesn't feel very tactile. You do have to hold it, press it pretty hard. So we're already paired. That was as simple as that. Again, using the same camera that was installed in the previous BT7 install. All right, now that we've got the camera paired, let's check out a few observations. and pardon the pun. But you know, first thing I can see, again, no sunscreen there as well, and I'm not sure how I'm going to like that or not. I did like that for two reasons on the previous one, and that was for obvious reasons, you know, to have a little bit of a sunscreen. Two is when we stored it, it protected the screen a little bit, so I think that was helpful. This screen looks a little bit brighter than the previous one, so I don't know if that is just my feeling of it, if that's really the case. So you can see the parking lines, so you can turn those on or off. And one of the things we did on the last video is we actually measured to see how far back of the rig that was, so we get a good feeling when we're driving if somebody is in one of those lines, you know, how close they are to the rig. And so we did that in the last video. I want to say it's about 25 feet, but I could be wrong. I'll put a correction on that. So menuing system, it's as easy as that. Now, what's curious about this is the first thing that comes up, as you see, is the menuing system like that. You're going to see 4 channels and then a Q mode. So the 4 channels would be if we actually had other cameras, so some side view cameras. It has up to 4 cameras in it, and then it allows you to look at any one of those cameras individually or collectively. So if you go back in here and look at that, so the Q mode, basically, if you had a number of cameras, you can kind of see up to 4, it would show those simultaneously. Now, you have an option as to actually program that. So we're on channel 4 with our particular camera, so that goes there. So because we only have the one camera, that particular feature is really not necessary for us. But what I do like about this is that this gives you this part of the menu. That takes you to the more detailed menu, which you may not need all those things. If you come back, you hit the menu button once, you hit the menu button twice, and it gives you a subset of those features. So you've got your parking lines, you've got your volume, you've got your brightness, you've got your LED lights for the back. So most of the options that we use are right there. You don't have to step through the broader menu. But going through the broader menu, you've got volume for the back camera or the back mic. We've turned it off because there's a lot of traffic back here, and you'll hear when somebody goes by. Of course, they've been going by every 5 seconds. Now they won't go by as we're recording. And there you go. That's pretty loud. So we're gonna turn that down. So go to volume, turn that down. And quite frankly, because of the other mic really didn't do so well, we didn't use it, but we will test that again here. So go backwards. And of course you can mute it. Pairing we already did. So when we set the camera up, we don't want to do that again. Picture is basically your traditional brightness, contrast, color, and then your camera LED, again, turning on those bright lights in the back. The mirroring is a function where you can see either the way the camera sees it or the way your brain sees it. And I have it set up that when I see somebody on the right of me, on the camera, then that's to the right of me and not inverse. And that just helps my simple brain figure that out. So we'll go back here again. Q mode is, like we said, the ability to display any of the cameras that you want, either collectively or maybe just a few of those at a time. Your settings are again, your basic settings we talked about. Your cam trigger. Now this is interesting, is that if you had side cameras and it noticed somebody coming up behind you, and this is my understanding, is that that would take over the full screen. So if you were, you know, somebody coming up on the left or right, and I'm not sure if it's when you have your turn signal on, it would actually take over the full display of that particular camera, even though you may have more cameras. The scan is to scan those additional cameras. The park lines that we talked about. And then if we had a memory card, and you can kind of see up here, there's a red. We don't have a memory card in here. We did test that in the last one, and it's kind of cool. It's nice to be able to do a looping video. So if somebody happens to hit you from behind, it's actually good and good insurance policy. We may try that this time. So that's kind of it. Again, what I do like is going back to do go back here, is to do that sub menu, because again, these are the things that you use most often, at least in my opinion. All right, Pam is going back there to check the sound on this. I've got it turned up. Now you can kind of see it right there. Okay, that actually, I think that actually sounds a bit better. Keep in mind we're in a really noisy environment, so so I think that's actually better than it was last time. Now we gotta get her back, get her to come back here. You know, all in all, I think it sounds decent. It doesn't sound great. I would say my first opinion is it sounds a bit better than the previous one. Hard to tell that it's still the same microphone on the camera. Maybe the processing on the head unit is a bit better. I would say that we still would prefer using our phones or our walkie-talkies, just much better clarity. However, if you forgot to charge your walkie-talkie and you're in a place with no cell phone coverage and you need help backing up with somebody back there and spotting, I think it definitely is, you know, it's in a feature that you may not use often, but you may use it when you need it the most. Let's go back inside. We'll give you a little more detail on this, and we'll give you a discount code on how to purchase the HaloView BT7 touchscreen. So all in all, these systems work really well. They do everything they're designed to do. We've really appreciated having the original HaloView BT7 in our truck for the last year. It's given us a lot more confidence in our towing, whether it's seeing what's behind us, changing lanes, passing other vehicles or whatnot. We didn't really use a lot of the menuing system other than the original setup, but I think with the touchscreen, we'll probably do a little bit more of that, especially maybe use the microphone that's in the back. Some of the things that we like about the touchscreen more than the original, for us anyway, is it sits up higher in the truck, gives you a little bit better view. It has multiple mounting options and multiple power options, a little bit more modern with using USB-C. I want to say thank you to HaloView for sending us these products for review. We certainly appreciate that. And if you're interested in buying either the touchscreen model or the non-touchscreen model or any of our other HaloView products, we can actually offer you a discount code, and we'll put that below.
And just remember, having a touchscreen makes everything so much easier.